Now, the next thing is to examine what we mean by a clause. A clause is a group of words that contain a subject and a finite verb. With this definition, we can see that the main difference between a phrase and a clause is a finite verb, because when we are giving definition for phrase, we say it's also a group of words without finite verb, but a clause with finite verb. And this clause, it may express complete meaning. For instance, Ade goes to school. If I say Ade goes to school, this expression gives complete meaning. And it's a clause because we have our finite verb there, which is goes. And sometimes the clause may depend on another clause to complete meaning. It means that if you mention this clause, it will not be given complete meaning until it is attached to another clause. For instance, because he was sick. If I just say because he was sick, have you seen that despite the fact that the sentence is a clause, because there is a finite verb there which is was, but with that it did not give complete meaning. So based on this, we can classify clause into two, which are main clause and subordinate clause. The main clause is also called independent clause, as we had it in the first example, and the second one is subordinate clause or dependent clause, the one that cannot stand alone. Now, the next thing is to examine these two types of clause. The first one, as I said earlier, is main clause. A main clause expresses complete meaning and can stand alone. For instance, Ade passed the examination. The students are reading. Musa traveled yesterday. She is a nurse. All these four examples, the sentences, have you seen that they can stand alone to give us meaningful sentence? So they are main and or independent clause. They are called so because they can stand alone in a sentence. So, but sometimes it may be possible that we have more than one clause. That's where we introduce coordinators, coordinating conjunction, which are fanboys. F stand for, A stand for and, N stand for nor, B stand for but, O stand for or, Y stands for yet. So those are the coordinators we use to join our independent clauses together. Once we have more than one clause in a sentence, we use coordinating conjunction or coordinators to join these sentences together. For instance, I went to the market. That is a main clause. It can stand alone. I bought a phone. These are two different main clauses, independent clauses, because the first one, I went to the market, is a main clause because it can stand alone and it's a finite verb. I went to the market. I bought a phone. Two different main clauses. Now I want to join them together to become one. I will introduce the appropriate coordinator. So here I can say and. I bought the phone and I went to the market and I bought a phone. So it means that I use and to join these two independent clauses together. So basically, the fanboys, and I've said the meaning of those letters, what they mean, are used to join independent clauses together whenever the time we have them in any given sentences. The second type of clause is a subordinate clause or dependent clause. It cannot stand alone. So that gives us a definition that says a subordinate clause does not express complete meaning alone. It depends on the main clause. Dependent clause or subordinate clause cannot stand alone to give us complete meaning. For instance, when the teacher arrives, if you study hard because he was sick, that he came late. If any of this expression is being made independently, for instance, I just say, when the teacher arrives, and I stop. Without anything being said earlier, and nothing is being said afterward. Have you seen that? I just say, when the teacher arrives. This sentence, despite the fact that there is a finite verb there, which is arrives, it does not still give complete sentence. So that is example of any sentence, any statement that's a group of word with finite verb and does not give complete meaning is known as subordinate clause. Having known the definition for subordinate clause, the next thing to know is how do I be able to identify a subordinate clause in any given sentence? It is very easy. We have what is known as subordinators or subordinating conjunction. And they are since, if, as if, while, as long as, and so on and so forth. So these are the words that introduce subordinate clause. So whenever the time we see any statement that one of these subordinators is being introduced, know that that is our subordinate clause, and that's where our subordinate clause starts. For instance, I will arrest him. That is a main clause. Whenever he arrives, whenever or wherever I see him, whenever or wherever in this statement, they are subordinate clause because they are introduced by subordinators. We have many subordinators, just as much as possible to know them. So I will arrest him, main clause. Whenever he arrives, subordinate clause. If you don't eat, I won't go. In this statement, we have main clause and we have subordinate clause. I won't go is our main clause, while if you don't eat is our subordinate clause. Why did you call if you don't eat our subordinate clause? Because if I just say if you don't eat and I stop, it does not give meaningful sentence, and despite the fact that there is a finite verb there, but I won't go. If I say I won't go, that one is complete. That's the main clause. So in a sentence possible we have main clause and subordinate clause. Main clause can stand alone, but subordinate clause cannot stand alone. Subordinate clause can easily be identified because it is usually introduced by our subordinators. The same thing applicable to, for the fourth example, for instance, I drink a glass of water, or I drank a glass of water because I was thirsty. Our main clause, I drank a glass of water. That is the main clause, while our subordinate clause is because I was thirsty. So now, having known what to mean by subordinate clause and how to identify the subordinate clause in a sentence, the next thing to know about subordinate clause is that it is classified into three. So don't get confused. Main clause, what we explain concerning that is that once we have more than one main clause in a sentence, we use coordinating conjunction to join them together, and we give examples. That is about the main clause, but we did not say the main clause is classified into anything. But as far as the subordinate clause is concerned, that one is classified into three. Under subordinate clause, we have noun clause, we have adjectival clause, and we have adverbial clause. The next thing now is to examine these three types of clauses. Noun clause. A noun clause functions as a noun. What does it mean? It means that whenever the time you see a clause that is function as a noun, that performs the same function that noun performs, a clause that is in position of the subject, that is in position of object, a positive element, prepositional complement, know that clause is a noun clause. For instance, number one, that he won the election shocked everyone. That he won the election, grammatical name, noun clause, grammatical function, subject of the verb shocked. I usually say that English pattern follows SVO, subject, verb, object, or subject, verb, complement. So this thing, the first one here is the subject of the verb, then shocked is the main verb. So that's how we know that it is the subject. Let us use another example. we talked about what the principal announced. We talked about what the principal announced, and what the principal announced is the something that we are concerned right now with. I told you that anything that comes after any nominal entity that comes after preposition complementing that preposition. So it means that this, what the principal announced, is still in the position of now. I mean the position that now occupies, which is after the preposition. And any nominal entity that comes after preposition complementing that preposition. So grammatical name of this number 3, what the principal announced. Grammatical name, noun clause. Grammatical function, it is the prepositional complement. How do we know that it is clause? Because why do we call it noun clause? It is a clause because we have finite, a group of words with finite verb. And where is our final verb? Announced. The second type of clause under the subordinate clause is an adjectival clause or relative clause. Adjectival clause simply modifies a noun or pronoun, and it usually begins with who, whom, whose, which, that. So, for instance, the boy who won the prize is my friend. The boy. Which boy? The one who won the prize. It means that who won the prize describes the noun boy or the noun phrase the boy. That's why we know that it functions as an adjective. And a clause that is functioned as an adjective is known as adjectival clause. The book, number two, for instance, as well, the book that I bought is interesting. The book that I bought explains, describes the noun book or the noun phrase the book. So anything, any nominal entity or any clause that describes a noun is an adjectival clause. That's how we know that it's adjectival clause. Noun clause takes the position of a noun. Adjectival clause qualifies a noun. Lastly is adverbial clause. An adverbial clause modifies a verb or adjective or other adverb to show time, reason, condition, purpose, place, etc. Examples. Number 1, when the teacher arrived, the student stood up. This sentence, adverbial clause, modifies a verb stood up by showing time. No, the student stood up when the teacher arrived. It shows time. Number 2, because he was sick, he stayed at home. Because he was sick is an adverbial clause modifying the verb stayed to show the reason. Why did he stay at home? Because he was sick. So it means that it shows the reason and it modifies the verb showed. If you study hard, you will pass. If you study hard, you will pass. Grammatical name, adverbial clause, grammatical function. It modifies the verb pass or the verb phrase will pass by showing condition. The condition for you to pass is for you to study hard. So if you study hard, the consequence is that you will pass. So it modifies the verb pass or the verb phrase will pass. Both of them are correct. The same thing applicable to the fourth example.